Hi guys, thank you for tuning in to this inconsistent ass podcast of mine. And I know what you're thinking immediately, like, Lily, I thought you fixed the goddamn audio. And I had. I mean, you guys saw that I had fixed it, that my audio was improving, but listen to this. I originally was recording with a USB microphone, and I think that's why it sounded like so shitty. And then I went to just use my microphone that I use for interviews, you know, like the expensive ones with like a real ass cable, not just a USB cable. But during finals, we had like a lot of video interviews. Do y'all hear the fucking trash truck outside? God damn it. Yeah, we had a lot of interviews to do for my final in my senior project, and I let some people borrow my microphone. And then when I got it back, it started being really shitty. So I think they fucked up the cable on it, like the cable that adapts to the microphone, that connects to the microphone, because I have another microphone too that works just fine, but then when I put the cable on it, it didn't work either. So it's the cable. I already ordered another cable from Amazon, so I'm sorry, okay? It's tough being a dumb bitch sometimes. It really is exhausting. So without any more to say, let's get on with the podcast and what happened this week, or maybe even kind of discuss the fights that happened on Saturday, even though you're like, bitch, it's Friday, move the fuck on. But hey, let's just talk about it, okay? Okay, so very quickly, let's just talk about Jarrett Hurd losing his junior middleweight titles to JRoc Williams. Now, I done fucking told you guys. I tweeted this several times. I don't know what you guys are bitching about the Williams fight with Hurd. Like, Williams is game. Like, he's no fucking pushover. Or just because he lost to Charlo doesn't mean he's like, you know, sucks, you know? So I don't want to go too much into it because, like I said, it already happened. You already talked all you needed to talk about it. But I love these moments in boxing, man. Like, Hurd was dropped in the second round, and since then he looked like he had no answers. He looked a little lost. He looked like he had no way of adapting to JRoc. And I'm not saying I love these kind of moments as like upsets. Upsets are fun. But most of the time, upsets are fun when the other guy's kind of an asshole. You know, Jarrett Hurd looks like a cool-ass guy. He was never problematic. He was never doing no dumb shit, you know? So, I don't mean that. I mean the way that, you know, was the sportsmanship after they were giving each other props. Hurd was not acting like a bitter asshole about it. And just, I think, Williams' reaction when he just fell to the floor when he heard and knew. That is so wholesome. Like, he is so happy. He was so happy. I mean, no shit, but oh my God. The way he was like just so emotional and wasn't even scared to be that emotional. We also saw Navarrete retain his title against Isaac Dogboe. And man, Dogboe is one of those guys that I guess getting beat by Navarrete the first time, it really messes you up. And not just your ego, but you're not the same fighter anymore. And he looked not good in this second fight at all. Same thing. He didn't seem like he had any adjustments. He didn't know all the putazos that were coming at him, where they were coming from. Obviously, Navarrete is a bigger guy for the division, and he does have, like, obviously a lengthier reach. But, man, Dogboe did not know what to do. And the only thing I remember taking out of that fight is, why didn't they stop it sooner? Like, they stopped it in the 12th round after, like, he already took a beating for 12 rounds, and now you're barely stopping it. To me, that was ridiculous. But hey, again, I'm not a ref or whatever, or I'm not in a corner. So it was the dad's decision. But in my opinion, I think the dad needs to get out of the corner. We see this in boxing a lot, where the son and the father thing, and yes, for some people it works wonders. But for the majority of the boxers, I feel like when you're their dad, you don't see the things that other people see because I guess you love them. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense, but I just feel like they can have their dad in their corner, but I think they still need like training from somebody else, like somebody else's perspective who, you know, not necessarily loves them like a dad would. But yeah, I thought that was kind of weird that they didn't stop it. In the other hand, on the main event, Breazeale versus Vargas Dos, I think Joel Diaz did a great fucking job stopping the fight against Breazeale with Vargas, because we knew Vargas is a fucking warrior and he's not gonna quit. But he's taking so many beatings, this guy. Vargas has like one of the most, you know, if Vargas on a fight, it's gonna be like fight of the year candidate, or, you know, he's gonna swell up like he got like just I don't know, bees just fucked him up. But it's crazy that regardless of the beatings this guy takes, he's never really shies away from a challenge. I think the softest fights he had so far was Breazeale, because he fought Breazeale twice. He's fought Miura, again, I think I already talked about this in another podcast. If you haven't watched that fight, you need to go watch it. That was probably one of my favorite fights in a long time, just because the way, the shock value of it, the comeback that Vargas did. You guys should definitely watch Vargas versus Miura. But again, these are guys that, he obviously fought Salido. So he's been in wars back to back to back to back, besides Breazeale, But it's ridiculous that he's keeps taking the competition that he takes, regardless of the beatings he takes. And even when he wins, he takes some motherfucker beatings. So you guys should definitely watch that fight. And props to Joel Diaz, man, and props to Breazeale. I would love to see Breazeale against Lomachenko, since, I don't know what's happening with Mikey. I mean, I guess we'll talk about that right now. But, since Lomachenko, Mikey's probably never going to happen, I would love to see Breazeale against Lomachenko. I think that'd be an amazing ass fight, and I just hope that it does happen. But again, props to Joel Diaz for stopping that fight. That is a fucking coach right there, dude, watching out for his fighters. So props to Joel Diaz. No, Mikey. Let's move on to Mikey, because goddamn fucking Mikey, what are you doing? It's been what already, like 2 months? 2 months? Wait, what month are we in? May? Let me see, Marzo, Abril, Mayo. Like almost 3 months. No, it's been 3 months, right? Shit. Bitch, I don't know. Okay, my brain is fried. I graduate tomorrow, so I don't want to know about thinking right now. I don't know. It's been 2 months, I think. 2 months since Mikey versus Spence happened, and like I said in the other podcast, following that fight, I think we all got tricked into thinking that Mikey actually had a shot, because when the fight was announced, we're all like, oh no, come on, Mikey, no, come on, don't do this to yourself, my dude, you have nothing to prove, why are you doing this? And then when we kept seeing all those snag videos of him looking like a fucking beast, working out, looking like a fucking, machine, we're like, oh damn, alright, damn, Mikey, he got a shot. And it's just why did we bought into it? We all bought into the hype, and then it was after the first round when we actually saw them next to each other, and we saw how Mikey literally had no chance to reach for Spence, when Spence was a much bigger, lengthier guy, and he was actually outboxing Mikey. He actually outboxed Mikey. But it was why did we, I remember, I think I tweeted this too, why did I think this was actually going to be competitive, at least in the first rounds? Because man, Mikey cannot get in there for anything. So I don't know, I think this is the same. Now he's trying to, supposedly there's all these rumors going around that he's gonna fight Danny Garcia, and I'm just but why? That guy, that meme of that guy, he's like a Christian pastor. I don't know what the hell he's doing, but he's why? That's literally my reaction, why, Mikey, why? I don't understand. And I guess I get it, he's daring to be great, and that's fucking awesome, Mexican warrior. I don't take anything away from Mikey. He's already a 4-division world champ, he did that, he already did that. But I think he wants to become a 5th division world champ. But I don't know, obviously he can't. I mean, he started at 126, right? He can't obviously go lower than that. He can't fucking be a bantamweight or a super bantamweight. But at the same time, it's hold up. You can't, especially the welterweights. That's probably, the most competitive division right now. Or maybe not, fucking trash truck. Maybe not the most competitive. You know what? No, it is the most competitive, because even the guys that are, B-ish level, they're not, the elite, a Crawford or, Spence. The other guys are still pretty good cracks, and no fight from the top guys is, one-sided, I think. Unless it's against maybe, and even then, Spence and Crawford, I think if they fought the other, top guys at 147, it'd be entertaining fights. We just haven't seen them yet. However, that's the fight that you see the guys at the top, and you're goddamn, all these fights, even if they lose, just fighting each other, amazing fights. So I don't see why he's trying to infiltrate that division, or what his thought process behind that is. I guess now he's okay, well, I lost to to Spence, which, I mean, it makes sense. Spence is who he is, and he is one of the toughest champions, but, you know, besides Crawford. So it's like, oh, I guess I'll go for like an A- level guy like Danny Garcia. But it's like, no, I don't know. Again, I'm not a trainer. It's like, if you all want to do like the welterweights, and like kind of, now he knows that he shouldn't go just straight to the top, but he's still going pretty high. I mean, Danny Garcia is not elite. I don't think he's A level. I think he's like B+, A-. You know, that's what I think of Danny. I don't necessarily disregard him completely, but I don't think he's at the top with the other guys. I don't. I think he's one, like, slightly below that line. But I just don't see how Mikey can beat even Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia has that no-look hook that Thurman made so much fun of him about in the media workouts. But it's a killer no-look hook. He doesn't have to see you. You know, like, he just throws it looking down, and it's gonna catch you. He's also not a bad guy around the ring. So I don't see how Mikey thinks he has a chance against this guy now. It's like, what is he gonna do? Like, keep going down, like, okay, I fought the best guy and I lost, but let me fight an okay guy. And he's like, okay, what, is it gonna take a loss to Danny to be like, oh, I'm gonna go down and now fight somebody like that doesn't have a belt? I mean, Danny doesn't have a belt, but you know what I mean? Like, somebody who's never been a champion and then adapt and go up. But I'm not trying to take anything away from Mikey Garcia. I'm not saying he's not like a great fighter. He is, but his weight classes, like, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to. I feel like if I talk about it, it makes me sound like a Mikey hater. But I'm not. I love Mikey, and I love how great he looks and adapts in his weight classes. You know, and let's say he stays at the 140 division. There's so many names at 140 that I feel like would make such great fights. Like, I mean, he has one guy in his camp, Ramirez, that maybe he can beat. Maybe he can beat Ramirez, but I mean, his brother trains him too. But that's like, you know, like, there's 140, at 135, there's still so many names. And if I guess a lot of people are saying, oh, it might be about the money, just taking the money fights, you know, like fights that are gonna make money. It doesn't even matter anymore about, you know, the division he's in or the belts. Like, maybe he just wants money fights, you know, which makes sense. But again, I think, I mean, I guess because Danny has been like a big name for a while too, but and the lower divisions are not that known, or not that known, but not that appreciated. So I feel like if he feels that if he goes lower, unless it's with Lomachenko, he's not getting a payday. Those are my cats playing with fucking bags from the grocery store. So yeah, I feel like maybe that's what he thinks, that it won't be big buys or big numbers if he fights somebody in the lower weight classes, or in his own weight class, I guess, other than Lomachenko. But I disagree. I think the real boxing fans, they know that. I mean, and even Mikeys Mexican, so he has a lot of Mexicans who love to watch anything and love to pay for anything. But I think this hurts him even more, especially in the Mexican fan base, because Mexican fans, like boxing fans, are the guys that are like, if you lose, they fucking hate you and they want to like throw you in a trash can. And I remember when Mikey lost to Spence, I was the one that's like, hey, like, you know, we should have known that this was gonna happen. One, we shouldn't be mad at Mikey because he took the risk, and also like he just couldn't find an opening, and we should give him, like, people are like, oh, should we give him props for surviving? Yes, especially with Spence's knockout ratio. Like, are you kidding me? Yes, you should give him props that he didn't get knocked out. And to me, just a side note, at no point in the fight did it look like Spence wanted to get rid of Mikey. But still, I think the fact that Mikey never backed down, he was always going forward, he didn't get on his bike and start just circling. He was always right in front of Spence, which might have not been the best idea, but he was, you know. So a lot of Mexican boxing fans are like, oh, like, fuck you, you lost, you're a disgrace, why even do that if you're just not gonna, you know, throw punches, you took no risk, blah blah blah. Taking that fight alone was already a huge ass risk, so I don't know why people were saying that. But again, those type of fights, let's say Mikey loses again, more fans are going to be turning against him. More fights like the dumb, I mean, you don't need those type of fans anyway, but they're still the type of fans that watch your fights and that support you, you know. So I think, I really wish that Mikey would just stay at 140 or 135 or interchangeably, you know, just go back and forth and kick ass there and take big fights there. I don't see the point in taking big fights at a weight that it's not, you don't belong there, one. And two, against a name, I guess a guy that has no belt. Like, I don't think that's no reward. High risk, no reward, really. So I honestly don't understand, but hey, again, I'm not saying Mikey doesn't have a chance against Danny Garcia. I think it's just we saw that size matters. You know, that size matters and that reach matters. We like to, and I tweeted this, we love to glorify dudes moving up in weight. You know, we love to glorify that shit. When we pick our pound for pound list, we're like, oh wait, let's put this guy up. But wait, did he actually win more than one division or just one? Because that matters in the top pound for pound. How many divisions did you conquer, right? That's like a thing that we obviously take into consideration. However, if we think about it, unless you're like Manny Pacquiao or, you know, I don't know, it doesn't turn out that well for the other guy in most cases, you know? Unless you're fighting like a champ that like really got a belt just, you know, by, and I don't want to say luck, because I don't like thinking that there's luck in boxing, but I mean in the way of opportunities. Like, look at Jaime Munguia. Jaime Munguia won that belt by taking it was presented to him in a silver fucking platter, you know? So let's say there's a lot of guys in that division that could beat Munguia. I think Hurd, even though he lost to Williams just now, he beats Munguia. I think a lot of fighters at that division, junior middleweight, can beat Munguia. So it's like, or even somebody, I mean, I don't know, because Munguia's a tall, lengthy dude, but I feel like if somebody great from like 147 moved up and was like was more boxing than actual power, they can outbox Munguia or give him work, you know? And maybe get that belt at that division. What I'm saying is Munguia would be an easy target, you know what I mean? Because he's so green still in that division, and he's in the wrong division to begin with. So maybe that's not the best example. But what I'm saying is, most of the time when you go up, look at Canelo, you fight guys that you know you can beat, and you know they're like the lowest risk of the champions, you know? So unless you do that, moving up in weight, you kind of, moving up is not always the best thing. Unless, I guess, again, like I said, Manny Pacquiao, if you're like Manny Pacquiao, then you know you got an advantage because you're fast and you're explosive. But most of the time, little guys, they just don't, if you don't have the reach, or you don't have the length, or you don't have, you know, it's tough to get in and out without just getting popped. And that's what happened with Mikey, and I feel like I don't know what he's doing, but I still support him, and I will still be cheering for him if he does fight Danny Garcia. And, you know, that's funny because Garcia versus Garcia, that's fucking funny. That's just too funny to me, but let's move on. What else happened this week? We saw, what else happened this week? I don't know what happened this week. What happened this week? Oh, also the IBF supposedly mandated Canelo to defend his belt, make his first title defense of the IBF against Derevyanchenko, right? Derevyanchenko became the mandatory again recently for the belt again, and now they're like, okay, well now, you know, you got the IBF from Jacobs, now you gotta defend it right away. You got 15 days to tell us if you're gonna vacate or you're gonna fight our dude Derevyanchenko, which would be his second chance, because, you know, Derevyanchenko lost to Jacobs in a split decision, majority decision win for Jacobs. So, but then they like issued some other like statement like, oh no, that was an error, like we messed up. Canelo has like the right to fight somebody else in like from the other sanctioning bodies, and he has a right to like not defend it once, or sorry, something like that. I don't know. These sanctioning bodies are honestly like a scam to me sometimes, but you know, whatever. I digress. It's still, I don't know, I feel like the WBC learned our lesson when Canelo was like not taking their belts, even though they were making them for his fights, which that whole thing was like ridiculous. I remember people being like, ooh, Canelo's so fresa, like he doesn't want to like take belts from the Huicholes. Wow, like what a fucking scumbag. He thinks he's better than the Huicholes. And it's like, they made this whole narrative about Canelo not liking Huicholes, which are the indigenous people from Jalisco and Nayarit. And they're like, oh yeah, he hates indigenous people, look at his white ass. And it's like, it's not even about him not like wanting the indigenous belt. It's about he doesn't fuck with the WBC, and he doesn't want them to sanction his fights. Like, they have no business just making a belt for his fights. And I think the IPF is gonna learn from the WBC, like not to just cross Canelo like that. I mean, we saw how the WBC had like beef with Canelo back then, or Canelo had beef with them actually. But then like this last fight with Jacobs, like Sulaiman was like rolling with a Canelo hat, and I'm just like, money is a fun thing to have, you know. But yeah, so people are still saying, oh, Canelo for what's his name, Boo Boo Andrade, or Canelo for Derevyanchenko, or Canelo for what's that other kid's name? What's that kid's name? The 168 guy that just defeated Groves. Caleb Plant? No, Caleb Plant's the guy that beat Uzcategui. What's the other guy's name? The guy that they're like, oh, I don't know what the fuck his name is, but the 168 UK guy. I don't know his name. Or is that Caleb Plant? No, Caleb Plant's the one that beat Uzcategui, right? I don't know, y'all. You know who the fuck I'm talking about. But yeah, they're like trying to put Canelo against all these guys, and it's like, I don't know. I don't know who, maybe a third fight with Triple G, but again, that's still high risk, low reward, because now he doesn't have a belt, and it's still high risk because, yes, I'm with you guys, the majority of you guys who think Canelo would win an easier decision a third fight around, because we've only seen him get better and better, and I think he's cracking the code of how to beat Golovkin easier now, but that's still, he can still get caught any minute, and it's just continuously fighting a perfect fight so that he doesn't get caught and just get laid the fuck out. So it's still kind of high risk. Now, the Boo Boo Andrade fight, as much as I would like it because, you know, unification, I would like it because unification and undisputed, you know, like whoever wins would become undisputed, so that would be great. But as a fan, I wouldn't want that fight because it will be boring. Like, I'm gonna tell you guys right now, that fight will be boring. A lot of people thought the Jacobs versus Canelo fight was boring because supposedly, you know, Canelo didn't take enough risks. But if he does take the Boo Boo Andrade fight, that's gonna be even more boring for y'all, because Boo Boo, he's not like a guy that engages. He'll counter too. He'll be like a countering guy and like a counter get out type of guy. So this fight's gonna be boring. And not just that, imagine fighting two guys, tactical guys, back to back, and you already got heat for, you know, supposedly not taking many risks against Jacobs from the, you know, the Mexican fans. They're like talking shit on ESPN's broadcast, and I think that's pretty fucking shitty of ESPN too, how they just were like, literally all the only footage they put from fans was fans that were like in Mexico gear or Canelo gear saying that he lost to Jacobs. And I'm like, y'all got a really nice little narrative here going on, because if you watch ESPN a los golpes, they hate Canelo. Like, the only one that like gives them props sometimes is like Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., which makes no sense because as we all know and as we all remember, Canelo beat the shit out of his son. So it's like, how is he the one defending him? But we have Juan Manuel Marquez, who talks so much shit about him. Not the other two, like, I think, what's the other two guys? I don't remember their names, but they're really cool guys. Osuna, and I forgot not the rapper guy, like, but that's the guy's last name, and I forgot what the other guys' names are. They're the commentators, but I digress. Anyway, imagine two fights like that. It'll be like boxing social suicide. You know, like, people, imagine Canelo back to back and like not engaging fights. People will be like, this is why I bought the Zone, to be watching these fucking guys not go at each other. And I feel like it'll be bad. So I don't think Canelo goes for Andrade right away, or his team goes for Andrade right away. Not because they're scared of him, not because they know that they can't beat him or whatever. Because he will give him problems early on, but it'll be like Jacobs, I think. I think it'll be the same thing. But again, I don't think they do that. It's not good for marketing to fight two guys that are tactical back to back, where fans are not going to be pleased with the lack of engagement, lack of action, lack of trading in the round. So I don't think that happened. So maybe, I don't know, maybe he takes another like cupcake fight like he did with what's his name, that Rocky fellow. So maybe he'll take another fight like that, but who knows. I at this point, like, I think, you know, see, now that I'm filming this podcast, I don't remember what I remember what I said in the last podcast, but since it didn't get published, I don't know if I said it or not. Like, I'm just confused. But right now I don't see anybody beating Canelo right now. And I'm not even a Canelo lover. Like, I don't even like the kid that much, personally. You know, as a boxer, I can't deny he has skills, but at the same time, like, as a person, like, he's kind of a mamon. But again, I don't think that anybody beats him right now. You know, people are like, oh, throw the Charlo at him. Like, did y'all not see the fucking Charlo's last fight? Please. Like, it would make great fights, and I think that's what Canelo needs to do. As long as he keeps taking names that we are familiar with, and names that we know would be, on paper, competitive, then, you know, by all means, I think he will be doing great in the fact that, I mean, people are going to talk shit regardless, but he's going to keep fighting the fights that at least we want to see. The Charlos, Andre eventually, but not next. Maybe move up and fight that guy that I can't remember his name. Or Caleb Plant, or I don't know. People were saying Benavides, and I'm like, bro, like that's a good fight. Oh, the Spence fight. People are saying Spence, and I would like that fight, but not yet. I think that's a great fight in like 2 years when Spence should fight, you know, do what he has to do at 147 and move up. But I think that'd be a great fucking fight. I think that'd be like a huge mega fight, especially because Spence, we saw that he's also tactical. Not just a puncher, but he does have a punch. So I would love to see Spence versus Canelo. I would love to see that shit. But again, I think Spence needs to not make the same mistake Mikey's doing. Obviously, he's a bigger guy. He does brag about walking around at 160. But it's all about adapting to the weight classes and getting your rhythm in a division where you previously were not. I think going to a champion immediately after moving up, that's like shooting yourself in the foot, because you need to adapt to, let's say you had a great training camp, but still, I think you still need to see how your power transfer in this division, how much your speed gets better or gets worse. You know, like, I think you have to start slow while moving up, but people just want the big fights right away nowadays. So enough about talking about Canelo. Is just, you know, I feel like boxing is sometimes just all about Canelo sometimes, because he's the one in the news for whatever the fuck he does, or whatever the people want to do to him, or the sanctioning bodies like mandating shit, you know? So let's move on. What else happened? Oh, we saw a bunch of Wilder slander on the timeline for his comments about, you know, wanting a body on his record. He said in a press conference, he's like, oh, I want Breazeale to start making funeral arrangements. And I'm like, dude, like, that's fucked up. But I don't get why people are so outraged now. He's been saying this. Like, he's been fucking saying this for years now. He's been saying that he wants a body in his record for years. So I don't know why all of a sudden, like, people are like, oh my god. Like, he's been saying this. Is it fucked up? Yes. Do I agree that he shouldn't be saying shit like that? Because, I mean, he says, oh, people call boxing a gentleman's sport. It's like, this is not a gentleman's sport. And, you know, don't quote me, but, like, I'm just paraphrasing what I heard him say on some interviews. He's like, oh, this is not a gentleman's sport. This is a sport where you get paid to literally be able to kill somebody. So why not, like, exercise my right to do so? And in my head, I'm like, bro, like, it is a gentleman's sport, because even though you trash talk your opponents to the build-up, at the end, at least the majority of the times, they embrace it like a handshake, a hug, like, okay, good fight, you know, okay, bye. It's really rare that, like, they still have beef after, unless they're gonna have, like, a rematch, unless it was, like, a cool-ass fight and there was no clear winner. Then, yeah, there's still some grudges, but most of the time, like, it's only for the build-up, and I think that's what was his excuse now that the WBC had, like, a hearing for his comments, which I thought was fucking stupid, because were they just trying to ban aggressiveness in, like, boxing, that they didn't want at the weigh-ins for the fighters to be shoving each other and shit? That's corny. That builds up a fight, as staged as it may look sometimes, or as staged as it is sometimes. It still builds up the fight to see the fighters, you know, supposedly trying to knock each other out at the weigh-in. But I don't know. It doesn't make sense that they're like, oh, okay, well, don't worry, he's just doing it for publicity and the marketing. Which I think he might be, you know, like, even Breazeale was like, oh, he's trying to, like, build himself up or his confidence up, and he's just trying to sell the fight. Like, it's not that deep. But with Wilder, you have to wonder, because he has that, you know, he has those crazy eyes, especially when he's talking about it. He's like, man, I can't wait. And he looks at Breazeale, he's like, I can't wait. And in my head, I'm like, holy shit, like, he might try to catch a body in. And that fight is obviously tomorrow. And I mean, we all know how this is gonna end, but I am worried. I am worried about Breazeale, because I mean, Breazeale only has one loss, and it's to Anthony Joshua, and I think he lasted, what, 5 to 7 rounds? I don't know how many exactly. Goddamn cats. But, he has, like, no technical abilities. I feel like he's just there for you to hit him. Yeah, he lands, but he takes way too many punches. And he had, like, some impressive KOs in his last 2 fights, but he still gets caught with hella heavy hands. And I feel like with Wilder, you can't take that luxury of like leaving yourself open like that, because you will get knocked out. And I do think that Breazeale folds like a chair in under 5 or 6, because there is that bad blood there. They don't like each other. The whole thing with their you know, they got in a fight in the hotel or something like that. And I do think that Breazeale might get too emotional. And I don't mean like crying, but like he'll let his emotions, his you know, trying to get back at Wilder, that he'll lose all any plans that he had, or you know, any how do you call it? Whatever plan he had, whatever game plan he had, I think he's just gonna let it out the ring, because he just wants to get Wilder, and the emotions will get the best of him, and they'll just leave him to get laid out by Wilder. So yeah, that's my prediction for that fight that's happening tomorrow. I am feeling like hella nervous for Wilder. I remember he used to train at Legends Boxing with Manny Robles. And I remember when I come in on Wednesdays, he'd just be shouting, "Fuck Wilder Wednesdays! Fuck Wilder Wednesdays!" That's what he would be yelling as he was like working out, or he'd be coming into the gym and he's like, "It's Wednesday." He's like, "It's Wednesday. You know what that means? Fuck Wilder Wednesdays." And this was like way back in the day. Back when he was like, well, now that makes it sound like I'm like talking about 1995 or whatever, but like in 2016-17, you know, that's what he would always say. Or it was like 2017. He'd be like, "Fuck Wilder Wednesdays." He's been saying that, but when I first heard it was in 2017. But now he's with Virgil Hunter, which is like, meh, I don't think he's gonna help much in this fight, but you know, I guess. And you know, let's see what the fuck happens with Wilder, and see if he actually is gonna get the big fight that he wants, that is Anthony Joshua. And there's another fight happening tomorrow, right? On Saturday, but I just don't remember right now because my brain is fried, and I graduate tomorrow, so leave me alone. But I did ask people to ask me questions like last time that I was gonna film the podcast that I filmed, but you know, the audio was shit. I asked people to ask me questions, and they did, and I feel bad because I never answered them. But now I do have some questions here. Okay, so let's get on with the questions that you guys had on Instagram. BTOGMZ, which I think it stands for Beto Gomez or something like that. It's BTOGMZ, actually. So, thoughts on Garcia Squared? Lame ass math joke. Mikey versus Danny, that is. I love that lame ass math joke. Garcia Squared. They should actually name this fight, if it happens. They should name it that. Garcia Squared, because that makes sense. I already gave my thoughts on it, I guess, at the beginning, but again, I don't think it makes sense. I'm not trying to diss Mikey, but I don't think he has any business in that division, and I wish he'd just stop and like go back to fighting at 135 or 140. Also, Jay-Z Photos, my homie, my friend, Jay-Z Photos, Danny Garcia versus Mikey Garcia. Thoughts? Again, I don't like this fight for Mikey. I think it will prove a lot, just like with Spence. I mean, if he defeated Spence, he was going to be like top 3 pound for pound, you know? But he didn't. And with this one's like, if he beats Danny, of course we'll give him props. Of course I'll move him up. But that doesn't mean he'll like, I don't think Mikey Garcia can beat any champion at 147 right now. Not even Porter, to tell you that, because Porter's super aggressive. So I don't think that's a good fight. What kind of improvements do you expect from Triple G? I was going to talk about this in the last podcast, I think. I just want some motherfucking head movement. Like, that's it. Move your head. Because, of course, Triple G has a great chin. Of course, he fucking has an amazing granite chin. And we've seen it throughout his fights. That he just takes punches and he just rolls with them and keeps going. And he'll, like, punch you and knock you the fuck out right after you threw a punch at him. So, you know, I would want him to move his head, because even though he gets those punches landed and he walks through them, those are still points for the other guy. I mean, he's gonna knock him out eventually, but that's still points, you know. So I think just hopefully some head movement would be great. And I don't ask much from Triple J anymore because, as we know, like he's older and I feel like he's done what he had to do in the sport. Also, Chavarria Hose, H-O-Z Chavarria. Will Spence Crawford ever happen? I don't think it'll happen anytime soon. I don't think it'll happen this year. I don't think it'll happen next year. These are the type of fights that only don't happen because of the promoter shit. Like, it's so stupid. And it sucks that this champion, Crawford, is basically isolated. He's basically like on his own little, I mean, weren't they tweeting back and forth about the whole, you know, whatever side of the street? Well, yes, Crawford's on the other side of the street. But I feel like, who are they going to keep pairing him against in Top Rank? Like, who's he going to keep fighting? Mean Machine? Mean Machine already lost, I think. But guys that are like up-and-comers trying to get a title shot? Or the Amir Khans of the world, like who? Or now they're talking about Kell Brook. It's like all these guys that have, I don't know. It's just, people talk shit about PBC, right? And I don't care to talk about promotions or promoters, and how they work and if they're good for boxing or not. Because boxing overall is a shit sport sometimes, or, you know, the politics in it. And I think everybody has like some part of that. But people hate PBC, but all these guys on PBC can fight each other. You know, and we've seen that they're like, before they didn't fight each other, and it was like, oh, come on now. But now they're like more, you know, actively fighting each other. Spence and Porter is supposedly going to happen soon. We have Thurman versus Pacquiao now. Damn, that fight. By the way, I'm already going to that fight. I'm already like, get my plane tickets. I'm there. But, you know, it's like these guys from PBC that are fighting each other, that are making great matches. So who's Crawford gonna fight? I'm not saying he should switch over to PBC, but I don't think he should. I don't think Top Rank is great for his career. He's already arguably the #1 pound for pound, but the way that he's being managed, I don't think he's not gonna be remembered as much, because who is he fighting, you know? But, you know, that's just my opinion. Let's see what other questions we have here. Am I the only one that misses Lamley, Jones, and Kellerman? And that's still by Chavarria. No, I miss them too, and it's weird because now we complain so much about commentators, right? And I think it's because HBO people paved the way for us, so like we're so used to them that everything else just sounds foreign. And at the same time, yes, we acknowledge that you know, the HBO guys were fucking biased sometimes, like they really were. Especially fucking Kellerman with Andre Ward. My God, like I want someone to talk to me or talk about me the way Max Kellerman talks about Andre Ward and the way he looks at Andre Ward. I want someone to look at me that way one of these days. But they weren't that bad that we like how we see now. Like the broadcasts now are just ridiculously biased. So yes, I miss them. I miss HBO, man. Why they have to die? Okay, Lariasa. I hope I'm pronouncing this usernames right. I don't know. Why isn't Billy Joe Saunders being talked about for a potential opponent for Canelo? I'll tell you why. Because he didn't have a fucking belt. 1. 2, I don't think Canelo's too fond of the fact that this guy was calling him a fucking cheater. And he came out being a cheater as well, or, you know, himself. So I think Canelo does not want to give time of day for somebody loud or give them that payday. You know, Canelo knows the power that he has in choosing his opponents that are gonna be making money off of him, basically. I don't want to say that because Jacobs, obviously, he was a champion. He had earned his way as a champion. So I don't want to say that, but other guys, I don't think Canelo wants to give him that payday. 1, he must not like the kid, and it's really high risk, low reward, because I think Jacobs, what the fuck? Saunders, his style gives Canelo problems. Yes, Canelo will adapt eventually, but it will, you know, it will give Canelo a lot of problems. So that's why he isn't being talked to the potential. Even, yeah, he moved up to one. I think he's going to fight at 168 soon, right, Billy Joe? And I don't know. Billy Joe's a piece of shit, man. Like, I hate talking bad about fighters like that, like outside of the boxing ring. But he's a dick. Like, he's been doing a bunch of fucked up shit. I don't know if you guys have seen the videos. I don't want to talk about what he's done, but he sucks. And I mean, if your own son is like hitting other fighters' balls at weigh-ins, like, you already know that dad is an even bigger dick. So I don't like him, but he will give Canelo problems. He also asked, are promoters running boxing for not making the fights that people want to see, Wilder, Joshua, Fury, etc.? Yes, and I just talked about this. I'm fucking tired of it. Because all the big fights that we want to see Lomachenko versus Mikey, we want to see Crawford versus Spence, we want to see Wilder Fury again, or Joshua Fury, or Joshua Wilder. All these combinations, and we can't see them. Not because these guys are scared of each other or ducking each other. It's because of these goddamn promotional companies, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting as hell that they just keep feeding us these one-sided fights, or these fights that are so goddamn predictable, and try to charge you $75 goddamn dollars for it, when the fights that we want and I feel like would gladly pay for or stream are not happening because of these goddamn promotional companies. Same guy asks, what is the proper punishment for someone using PEDs, whatever you want to call them, PEDs? I think the proper punishment is a ban, like maybe a year, 2, depending, okay? Because it goes like this, look it. It depends how many times, and it depends what you have and what you test for and what is consistent with what you say. You know, I never looked too much into the Billy Joe thing, but he's like, well, it's a nasal spray. And it's like, okay. And then with Fury, and a lot of people for some reason don't know that Fury also tested positive for something. And he blamed it on Wild Boar. Like, most people think that he got stripped because of cocaine or because of his, you know, racist, homophobic comments. And that's what people, because that's what, you know, people were talking about. But really, he got stripped because he had, like, banned substance. And he blamed it on Wild Boar. Now, I think it also counts how you go on about you know, I still feel it should be a year ban, regardless, because even if it's accidental, even if it is the fucking Wild Boar, even if it is a nasal spray, you're still responsible for what goes into your body. It's still an unfair advantage whether you supposedly did it on purpose or not. So it should be a year ban automatically, in my opinion. Now, some should be 2, or some should just be forever. Like, look at fucking Miller. He had so much shit in him, it was like a pharmacy up in his fucking bloodstream. Just kick his ass out of the sport. Seriously, like, why even give those people time of day in the sport? Goddamn cats, shut up. But you know what I mean? Like, these are guys that obviously have no fucking respect for the sport. So why even give them time of day? That should be a life ban. Now, what I mean about the accidental stuff, people claiming it's accidental. Did anybody back it up? The only one I can think of, and again, I fucking hate talking about this guy so much, but Canelo came out positive for clenbuterol, right? And then he did a second testing which the levels were lower, and the levels, and I hate talking about this because people are gonna be like, oh, you're just defending Canelo, when I'm not. Hold up, let me tell my cat to fuck up real quick. Alright, I'm back. Okay, let's see. I just want to point out facts here. That's what we're going to do, okay? At the Xicana Boxing podcast right now, we're just going to do facts, right? Okay, so Canelo came positive for clenbuterol. In his second test, he came back with lower levels. And the levels did match those numbers that are related to meat contamination. Now, I can understand where that's like, shut up, you're full of shit, you're rich, why the fuck are you eating contaminated beef, you privileged ass, like, you are a millionaire, what the hell are you doing? But I'm gonna tell you guys right now, I'm from Mexico, I'm very familiar with agriculture because I'm from a fucking rancho in Mexico. This is an actual thing. I'm pretty sure we go to Mexico right now and test like 10 guys. At least 3 are gonna have clenbuterol on their fucking system because of the meat. This is a public health issue in Mexico where there is clenbuterol injected into the cattle and we eat that shit. So now it is consistent, that those numbers are consistent with meat contamination. They're not like super crazy high levels. They're consistent with what somebody with contamination from meat would have. Now, I understand. At first, I was one of those people too that was like, bro, you are rich. Like, get yourself some organic ass fucking meat. What are you doing? But if you're Mexican, even if you're like a diet person or you're like a vegan person, when you're in Mexico, you want tacos, you want tortas, you want some fucking sopes, tostadas, you want whatever you see in the streets, like whatever stand, you see a fucking taco stand, you're like, I'm there. So maybe that's what happened. He just was, I mean, and again, remember, this happened when he was not in training camp. He was not in training camp yet. So he was out eating and doing shit. So I feel like, I don't know if you guys know that this happened to a whole ass football team. It happened to a whole ass soccer team. And I don't mean just one person or two. Like I said, multiple people in the Mexico team, when they went out to play, I don't know where the fuck, they all came back with clenbuterol. Same with like this fucking football team that went to Mexico, came back all positive for clenbuterol, or most of them. This is a thing, like this is an actual thing. And then when people are like, oh, I bet Canelo won't take a hair follicle test, that motherfucking cheater, he's not gonna take a hair follicle test. And he does, and it comes back negative. Why? Because hair follicles are more, according to, you know, whatever the fuck science says, or these researchers, when it's a hair follicle test, it goes back to like 6 months. Right? Like it basically stores 6 months of whatever it's in your body or in your blood or whatever. I don't know how the shit works, but it's supposed to trace back to 6 months. And that shit came back negative. So what that means is that if he was taking clenbuterol consistency, it would have turned up more in his hair follicles, you know, and it didn't. So that should have put, you know, I feel like he took the necessary steps to be like, look, motherfuckers, like, I'm not lying. Here, take my test, take this, take that. He was like super cooperative about it. But still, even if it's by accident, you should still get a year ban, because that's still an advantage that you're having. And technically, I guess he did have a year ban in a way that he didn't fought. He fought in like, what was it, September, and then he fought it this past September. So I think it was technically a year, but it wasn't a ban. Like, he should have a ban that's effective for a year after that date, you know, of the court hearing or whatever the fuck. So again, that's it. Damn, that was a long ass answer. Okay. Shit. Okay. Let's see what else people are asking. How do you feel about former champion Paulie Malignaggi competing in bare knuckle boxing? I don't know why the fuck Paulie Malignaggi is doing bare knuckle boxing. I think it's not good. I think he was never the harder hitter in boxing to begin with. He's always had like pillow hands, so I don't get why he thinks that bare knuckle boxing is gonna do him some favors in his style wise. And we saw the pictures against McMuffin, so I don't know how that's gonna turn out for him. I don't agree with it. I mean, what is he looking for? Money? Like, does he not make money in Showtime commentating? What is he doing? I don't understand. And Mara 87. How did you have Canelo versus Jacobs? I had it 8-4 for Canelo. I wish Jacobs had not been so passive in the first rounds. Obviously, we saw Jacobs kind of wake up in the last rounds and was giving Canelo work. But I think that most fans say like, oh, well, he had Canelo against the ropes in later rounds. Yeah, he did. But let's not let that distract us from the fact that he was not really landing those punches. Canelo's head movement was on point. I think he boxed Jacobs. I think Jacobs didn't seem like he ever found his rhythm in that fight. I wish it would have been, I mean, he did pay the, like, I don't know, 1 point whatever million to come in heavy. Why not, like, impose your weight and, like, be a bully? You know, obviously people are like, oh, well, weight doesn't mean anything. It kind of does, in the way that you're the heavier guy. You know that you can absorb the punches better. Like, impose yourself on this guy. Like, be the bully. And that's what I expected from Jacobs, and it didn't happen, so I was kind of upset. Why people hate this zone for $20 but happy about $80 pay-per-views like Spence Crawford fights? Yeah. This is from JBLAR89, JB Lar, I don't know. I agree. I know a lot of people shouldn't DAZN, and I get it. It's hard to adjust now to like a digital mainstream, a digital streaming platform. We were so spoiled with HBO and Showtime, which anyway we had to pay for, unless you were like me. I mean, other people that stream. HBO and Showtime are not free. They're usually in like the premium cable channels that are like $100 or whatever. I don't know how much it is. I don't pay for cable, but yeah, I don't know. I think DAZN is a good ass fucking deal, especially for like the hardcore boxing. That's the thing. DAZN is a good deal for the hardcore boxing fans that will watch about any boxing, not for the casuals. See, if you're a casual and you just like to watch big fights, then I guess pay-per-view is better for you, because you just pay like $80 every other month or whatever, or every couple of months to watch the fight that you want to watch. But I still feel like DAZN, you have so many good fights. You have so many good fights. Just look at the Gallo versus Breazeale card was worth the $100 that it's per year. And then you had Canelo in the following week. And then we're going to have the Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz, which more people are like, oh, well, whatever. But these are big names. And then now Triple G in June. Like, these fights are good, big names. And even if you just want to do like, go 20 a month and cancel it for a month, and then it's still a good ass deal to me. But, I mean, I can see why the fans that are not, like, hardcore boxing fans, but they just want to consume boxing and they just want to like watch the big fights, I can see what maybe pay-per-view is better for them. Not for me, but I understand. 408J asks, who is Canelo's biggest challenge? I think Canelo's biggest challenge is tactical guys, as we see with Jacobs. Like, they give him the most problems. I'm gonna have to say Andre is a challenge, but I think Canelo still beats him. I think Billy Joe is a bigger challenge than Boo Boo Andre because of his style, and he's I don't know. I think those guys that have like a slicker style will give Canelo problems every time, and that's why I hate the narrative that's like, well, Canelo shouldn't be pound for pound top 5 even, because he's never looked impressive against his opponents. He's never looked dominant against the top guys, and it's like, okay, but who the fuck looks dominant in fights that are competitive? You're fighting other world-class guys. He's not supposed to smoke them. That's just doesn't make sense. And I think I tweeted this too, like, we often complain about mismatches. Like, oh, this fucking mismatch. Look at Crawford versus Khan. What a mismatch. Look at Mikey versus Spence. Mismatch. Lomachenko versus Skroya. That kid obviously was like a title contender. And I've said it again. I think I said it before. I mean, about mandatories. Like, they deserve their spot. They deserve the right. Even if we think the fights suck. Even if we fight the things are mismatches. They earn their spot. However, mismatch. So many mismatches. Like, we live in a current state in boxing where most fights, we already know how it's going to end before we even see the fight. I mean, obviously, Williams is hurt was the exception, but that rarely happens, And then when we get real competitive fights, that Canelo has been doing against Triple G, because even if you think Triple G won, which I do think Triple G won the first, I think Canelo edged it on the second one, but even then, people give no credit to Canelo for, doing what he did against Golovkin, and they're like, oh, he didn't dominate, so fuck that, like, he's not a top guy, he's not an elite guy. Look at, Jacobs, yeah, he beat Jacobs, but, he didn't look impressive, he didn't dominate, and it's like, bro, when is a guy supposed to dominate an other world-class fighter? When? These are top guys. When the top fight, the top is not going to be lopsided. It's going to be competitive. And we're so used to these goddamn mismatches and bitching about them, but when we get competitiveness, we make all these excuses. And that, in my opinion, that has got to stop. But I think those are Canelo's biggest challenges. I think Canelo's going to keep having big challenges, especially against guys, like I said, that are more tactical, that fight on the back foot, that fight going backwards, that, are more boxers on the outside instead of engaging in the middle of the ring. Because Canelo is an actual counterpuncher, so if you're not there for him to punch you, counterpunch you, how is he going to shine? And every style has styles make fights, so who doesn't struggle against guys that are more tactical? Everyone. So, I don't know. Y'all get on my nerves sometimes. Garcia 2.5. Do you think since ESPN took over UFC pay-per-view that will slack on boxing? I have no idea that ESPN took over UFC. I had no idea. I don't know shit about UFC. But maybe. I don't know. ESPN has been doing a bunch of shit too. Not just basketball. I mean, not just basketball, not just boxing. They do basketball and they do all this other stuff. So I don't think so, but I don't know. Someone asked, do I think that Williams now has a better shot at Charlo again? Does William have a shot at do you, god damn it, RCH90, do you think JRoc can beat Charlo the second time around? And the answer is probably not. And I think because like I just said, styles makes fights. Hurd had a style that JRoc can capitalize on, and I think you could tell though that he did have an amazing training camp, that he was, you know, that he studied Hurd and that he knew exactly how to beat him. You know, he looked like he came in with a game plan and he executed that shit to perfection. However, like I said just like 20 seconds ago, styles make fights. It's about styles. And I think, I don't think that Williams beats Charlo again. I mean, maybe, you know, I mean, he did look much more impressive than he did against Charlo, but I don't know. I don't think he would. Let's see the last question. Let me log in because I asked people on different platforms. That's why I'm taking so goddamn long. My bad, guys. And I have mocos. How do I get sick a day before my graduation? Like, that's just not cool. Do you think Breazeale's ready for Wilder? I mean, no one's ever gonna be ready for Wilder's power, though. I feel Dominic's last win wasn't enough to knock the ring rust completely off. The ring, at the same time, he has about the same fundamentals as Ortiz and almost won. Just hoping for a good fight. And this is Lancho Corrido. Corrido mi Lancho. Honestly, I don't think at all Dominic has the same fundamentals as Ortiz. At all. I think that's insulting to Ortiz. Ortiz is a Cuban school fighter. Like, he is, oh man, and that's why I love about Ortiz, because he mixes that Cuban style with the badass fucking power behind his fucking punches. But I think Wilder, Breazeale, he is an Olympian or whatever, and he did but yeah, I don't know, he has no head movement. He looks more awkward in the ring. I don't think he's at all like Ortiz. But maybe I'm just a hater. I don't know. I don't hate Breazeale. I think he's fucking funny, and it sucks. I am feeling bad for him. I don't want him to lose to Wilder, because he is most likely. If he pulls his upset, oh my god, that'd be fucking legendary. But because of the stuff that's at stake, like, he already humiliated him by, you know, starting a brawl next to his wife, next to his kids. Like, that's fucked up as a man to like do that shit in front of somebody else's family. But now to lose to the man that did that, like, that's not gonna feel good. But to answer your question, I don't think he has a chance to beat Wilder at all. So we'll see tomorrow, though. I don't think he's ready for Wilder. I think it's easy for us to say, for me to say that he's not, but he's been training for Wilder since he became his mandatory in like November of 2017 by beating Molina. So it's like, I think he's been ready in the way that he's been training forever for Wilder. But like you said, we don't think anybody's ever ready for that type of power. So I don't know, guys. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to watch it. My graduation is at like 9 in the morning, so I'm going to be okay to watch boxing after. Oh, how the fuck did I forget? The Monster Inoue fights tomorrow, my dudes. Tune in. See, y'all don't want the Zone, or y'all talk shit about the Zone. How you guys gonna watch the Monster? How? Because y'all don't want to miss this shit. Y'all don't want to miss the Monster. Okay? So watch the Monster. Watch him. He is amazing. The WBSS tomorrow. The Zone World Boxing Series. I think Inoue versus Rodriguez, right? That's like other kid's name. The latest victim. And yeah, guys, just tune the fuck into the Zone if you can. Try to find a stream. Hit me up if you need streams. I do have a couple that I know have worked for me before. I just had my friend's password for the Zone. So yeah, I don't want to talk about Pacquiao versus Spence right now. I mean, Pacquiao versus Thurman right now, because I want to do like a whole ass episode just on that. But yeah, I graduate tomorrow. I'm gonna have my bachelor's degree. I'm gonna try to find a job in like boxing writing, for like a big, like ESPN or Ring. And if it doesn't happen right away, because you know I literally probably won't happen, but try to show me as much support as you guys can. Especially because I know I've been slacking. You're like, bitch, you put out a podcast every like once a month or whatever. But that's because I was in school. Now I'm gonna have more time. I'm gonna try to do daily videos. I'm gonna have a whole ass setup. Like, I'm gonna get into this a lot, because even if I don't end up doing boxing journalism, I do want to keep doing this as a hobby even, you know, because I love boxing, so who the fuck cares? Thank you guys for listening. LA10 Lily on Twitter, Xicana Boxing on Instagram, Xicana Boxing on YouTube. And yeah, I think that's it. Good luck to you guys watching the fights, especially the monster. Don't get too surprised because he's a fucking monster. And yeah, good luck to me tomorrow for my graduation, and thank you guys for listening. So, and asking me questions, because I didn't think I was gonna get that many fucking questions. But thank you guys for, like, I guess valuing my, I don't know, I guess opinions? I don't fucking know. I'll see you guys later. Sorry about the audio. I will have it fixed by the next podcast. I fucking promise, okay? I love you guys. Thank you. Bye.